Hello and welcome. My name is Steve Fisher and I just want to sort of point out some of the Photoshop 2021 features that just make our life a lot easier. So for the last 5-6 years since I've sort of been around and working at the University of Lincoln, we used to do this exercise where we used to use Photoshop and do a sky replacement. Now, the way we traditionally used to do it is we'd use the sort of lasso tools or polygonal lasso tool, or we'd use a kind of colour range. So we'd take the colour range of the sky and then kind of use that to create our selection. Then we would create a mask and then we would paste in the new image or sky below the layer where the mask is. That's the way we used to do it. It used to take quite a bit of time, but the results were fantastic. So that's the way we've always done it. Now, since Adobe 2021 has kind of pushed forward the boundaries of its Sensei, its little AI system, I kind of just want to highlight a kind of new way of doing the sky replacement. It used to take us about 30 minutes to an hour. You can now do in a matter of minutes using inbuilt tools. Now, this wouldn't necessarily work for all photos or all images, but I do know it will work for this one here because I've already tested it. So this is an image of one of the buildings on campus. And you'll notice that we've got reflections of the sky in the windows. We've got this kind of quite clear blue. We've got all this sort of ribbing here. So what we need it to do is we need to take all of the blue, but not replace the blue here, and not kind of pick up any erroneous colour palettes nearby. So the way we're going to do it using Sensei is we're going to go to Edit, and there's this new option in 2021 called Sky Replacement. If I select that, this will now analyse our image. It will take a colour range, and you'll notice it's took the colour range of the blue. And what it's done is it's actually replaced it for us with an image. So it comes with some sort of prefab images. We can also extend or reduce the sky area using the brush. So if it's missed something that we didn't want, we can add to it. If we press Alt and click, we can remove sections from its detection. So if we're not happy with the way it's done it, we can go in and force it to change a little bit. We can also pan around and zoom in and zoom out of our sky, or just move the sky around in general. But yeah, what it's done is it's took our blue sky. If we zoom into the image, you can see the aerial is still there, although it's a little bit masked by the colour, so it's a little bit needs a little bit of tweaking there. But you'll notice the best thing about this is the windows are actually picking up the reflection of the clouds. Now, it's not so much obvious here, but it has done it here, and that would be arguably enough. It's also kind of colour graded the image to whatever the sky image is. So this Photoshop comes with a library of pre-built skies, so I can choose like a nice blue cloudy day, or kind of a rainbow on a kind of more foggy day. And you should bear in mind, whatever image I choose, you'll notice that the lighting kind of emulates that change. It's not perfect in all cases, but it does a pretty good job. And yeah, it's quite cool. It's a feature that I can definitely see people making use of. It'll make life a lot easier for a lot of people. You can still adjust things like the brightness of the sky. I can make the sky brighter or make it a lot darker, like it's more surreal. I can adjust the temperature of the sky. So if I didn't want the sky as I got there, I could also still import my own image of sky. So if I took my own photograph or image, I could create my own sky by searching my own library. I can create folders and delete things I don't want. I can even scale these to see, make it easy to see which one I want. I can adjust the shift edge. So this is a kind of how much it kind of creeps in and how much it reveals of the original sky in relation to the new sky. I can adjust the fade, so I can make it a lot more harsh. So it's kind of now that you can see it's a lot harsher here, but if I increase the fade, it fades up from the original sky to the replacement sky. I can adjust the scale of the sky, so I can make it look a lot more zoomed in, essentially, or zoomed out. So obviously trying to keep it to fill our frame. I can flip the sky, so it just flips it on the horizontal axis. Just the lighting on what it's doing to my foreground. So here you can see it's adding the kind of red tint. I can adjust how much lighting is affecting it. Likewise with the colour. So yeah, it's does a pretty damn good job, I'd say. Again, this is never going to replace kind of more, hands in there, kind of working away using color range, manually tweaking in and doing all that. But if you kind of just want a really quick, easy way to replace a sky, Photoshop is probably the answer now for still images. Another tool I want to show you is the new object selection. So I've got another image here from the University of Lincoln, which is just one of their marketing images of some students. And there's a new tool. So if I wanted to select a person from my scene, again, we'd have to use our lasso tool or color range, or go draw around and then add to our selection or take away. So let's say I wanted to select this person here, or I'd just have to go around. Again, I would probably have to be a bit tighter than this, and I'd have to keep adding to my selection. And I'm not doing a good job of this. I'm doing this, very speedily just to prove a point. So I have to go around making sure I've got everything I want selected, removing anything I don't want. Or I could use something like the kind of quick selection tool, which would do a fairly good job. So I could select things that are close to each other, but I'd still have to go in manually and tighten things up. And this would just, again, it was a bit of a time-consuming process, but you could get the refiners. Now, with Adobe Photoshop 2021, there's a new tool that actually kind of eliminates a lot of that hassle, especially for clearly defined people or objects. Now, I will say I've tried this with this image where I've got a bit of overlap, like with the arms here or covering here. It does get confused if there's too much overlap going on or the detail is not quite refined enough. So the image to a degree needs to be sort of easy to select, but it doesn't have to be perfect. For example, I could select this window or this door, this person fairly easily using this tool. And this new tool is, if I click down here, is the object selection tool. Now this will but normally be around here, but for me it's in my more tools. But it's the object selection tool, basically allows you to select images within a redefined area. This does what it says on the tin. So typically by default the mode is set to rectangle, but I can change it to lasso. And what this means is I can just draw around a selection and the sensei or the AI will try and interpret that image and select it for me. So create a selection, marching ants around it essentially. If I look up here, we have our new selection. We can add to our selection, subtract. We can do everything we do before, so I can still hold Shift to add and Alt to subtract. I can sample all my layers or enhance the edge or just abstract the object. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this person here. Just going to do a very rough cut out. I'm not even going to get everywhere. I've kind of missed bits of the feet deliberately. And as you see, there we go. It's cut the person out. So done a pretty good job. Is it done a perfect job? No. It's it's missed a bit here. So if I'm not happy with it, I could do it again. I'm probably going to use the box tool just to make it a bit easier on the engine. I can still use my other tools, or I could press something like select and mask. So if I press select and mask with this person selected, this shows us this kind of person and the background kind of is now a bit grayer. Let me just adjust the transparency a bit just to make it a bit easier so you can see what it's actually selected. So if I up the transparency, you can see this is the selection it's done. This is what the AI has picked out as a person or object of interest. And yeah, I'll just have to go in and, remove things. So let's say this bit here isn't quite perfect. Oh. So I can go in and remove bits using any of these tools here. So the refine edges or quick selection, brush, lasso, etc. So I can still do all that definition, but it does do a pretty good job of selecting things out of a scene. I can refine hair. So if hair is quite messy, I can click this button here and it will try and do a better job of picking up sort of stray hairs. Can adjust the kind of smoothness, the radius of these tools, how much it's picking up, or how close it is to the subject. And when I'm happy, I can just press OK. That's my selection made. If I hit the mask tool now, so I've got a mask. This is my person selected. I could select my person, copy it, go into another scene, paste it in. Making sure that I actually have the person selected. So I'm just going to lock my sky replacement layer for a second using the little lock tool up here. Select my person, and now I can add them to my scene. Again, it's not perfect. I'd probably have to add a bit of shadow, probably do a bit of color adjustment on them, etc, etc. But yeah, this kind of gets the idea across that you can, using these two new AI tools, it does speed up the whole selection process and replacement process. Now, this isn't all that's been added to Adobe for 2021, but these are just two tools that are super efficient for selection with Photoshop that you may already know about or may not know about, but definitely worth playing about with. And it kind of just proves how AI and software will make our lives a lot easier. It's not quite there yet. Manual touch will always be, more controlled. But again, software is to make your life easier, make things faster and more efficient. So if the tools are there, why not experiment with them? It's not cheating, because you still need that keen eye to know whether it's doing its job properly or to touch things up manually at all times anyway. So anyway, I've been Steve Fisher. This has just been a hot spotlight on two of the new features in Adobe Photoshop 2021 that I just think are awesome: sky replacement and the define selection, is it? The object selection tool, sorry. There's more to it, and I'll probably go for those potentially in the future. But yeah, thank you for watching. See you again soon, and goodbye.